Hey there, conference report. Thanks for responding to my video. I have a little bit of congestion going on, so I apologize if my voice sounds strange or if I make sniffling sounds throughout this video. I like your videos a lot, and I was kind of hoping you'd respond to this. I kind of had a feeling you would. I felt as I was making it that this was the kind of thing that you'd be interested in. Yeah, you talk about Hobbes's Leviathan, and I've actually thought a lot about Hobbes's Leviathan, even though I really haven't read his own words on it. I mean, I've heard the concept discussed by a lot of people, and it occurs to me that Hobbes's Leviathan is basically the idea of the benevolent authority. The child is running towards the street, and it's about to get creamed by a truck, and its parents stop it, and they say, "No, you don't run into the street." Obviously that's a good thing. That's a benevolent authority. That's someone protecting you from your own stupidity. And I think a lot of people, they want a government that kind of behaves in that fashion. But my problem is that I don't see how you incentivize the Leviathan to do anything but eat people. I mean, it's a social organism. It wants power. That very same parent that protects you when you're a small child is also going to oppress you as a teenager and make you want to get the hell out of that house and out on your own, taking care of yourself. Now, I'm not making an argument against the state here. I'm no anarchist, at least not by my own definitions. Although other people have called me that because of my ideas about voluntary taxation and optional participation in the state. But I'm not even here to talk about that right now. I want to talk about how do you create a benevolent state? How do you get a state that stops you from running out in front of cars, but doesn't, stop you from bringing home a girlfriend that they don't approve of? And my answer is that, I really don't see how you can. I've racked my brain trying to figure out ways to make the government that protects you behave, with this benevolence that just has your own best interest at heart. And I really can't see how you can do that because of the problem I described earlier, wherein no one cares about the rights of others. People want their own freedoms. They don't want the freedoms of other people. Like in Mississippi, how many people voted against gay marriage in Mississippi? I think it was 80% or something along those lines. People voting to take away the rights of other people. So if you're a minority with a minority opinion, a minority viewpoint, you're just screwed. So that self-evidence that you talk about isn't there. And I don't know how you can get it there. I don't know if you can so fundamentally change the nature of people. But I think that the very idea of freedom is a rebellion against that nature. It is a revolutionary act. The depersonalization, as you put it, of our own interests. And that's not to say that I believe that people should wholly set their interests aside. I think that people just need to acknowledge that their interests are not more valuable than the interest of everyone else. And I think people also need to realize that just because their interest is the majority interest, that does not grant it any sort of automatic supremacy. But, that's the whole idea behind democracy, though, is that if the majority of people want something, then that's the way we should go. And I don't know that I like that, because I think that every freedom lover, maybe that's a corny term, but it's the best I can come up with. Every freedom lover has to ask themselves a question, I think that's somewhat difficult. How do we reconcile our desire for freedom with the granted arguable, but not really that arguable fucking reality that most people are dumb Most people are just dumb, vacant, stupid, go along with the crowd motherfuckers. They really don't have much interest in thinking for themselves. And a lot of them, on an individual level, can be quite intelligent. I remember there was an experiment a while back, and I don't remember who conducted it, but it was basically, you put one person in a room, and I'm sure you probably know about this, Fred. You put one person in a room and you start filling that room with smoke, and that person will immediately stand up and run out of the room. Oh my God, there's smoke. This is dangerous. I shouldn't be here. And if you put a bunch of people in that room, they'll all start looking at each other and wondering, what we should do. They'll all start looking and saying, well, no one else is moving, so why should I move? I need to look to my fellow people to see what I should do. They start clamoring for a leader. They start thinking as a group, and it actually makes them stupider. I'm sure there are plenty of situations where group behavior lends itself to, it is a survival advantage. Obviously, it would not still be around if it wasn't a survival advantage. The reason that we form cooperatives is because it lends us an advantage. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily morally palatable at this point in our history. The KKK might be a great bunch of guys, but obviously, their social agenda is something that I'm going to find repugnant, and I'd hope you'd find repugnant as well. This idea of pitting groups against each other and one group of people trying to oppress the other. But it's also somewhat unavoidable because it's just so hardwired into us, and we can't really function autonomously. Even these people who think they're loners and, no, I don't need anybody else, they do. They're living in houses built by other people, using technology built by other people, sustaining themselves on food grown by other people. Unless you're living in a log cabin that you built yourself, and hunting your own food and growing your own crops and stuff, then you really can't talk about how autonomous you are. And even then, autonomy is not going to last because you're going to be dead after a generation because you have no mate. So there's really no reward in any sort of Darwinian sense for self-sufficiency. There's plenty of rewards for cooperation. And, I think that when we look at the Leviathan, I think that you have to figure out a way to tame it as much as possible. I don't think that you can ever make it benevolent. I don't think that you can have a group of people with, their own base natures, their own problems, their own irrationality, their own biases, their own egos, and have them form a group that somehow lacks all of these problems and can regulate the baser natures and the irrationalities and the egos of those under their rule. Saying that your solution to the problem of people is a bigger group of people with more power is like saying that you're going to become a vegetarian by eating a big old double cheeseburger. It really just doesn't add up.